Hi, in this lecture we begin our discussions on data collection, and we start with our first method, which is survey research. Surveys involve a research method involving the use of standardized questionnaires or interviews to collect data about people, their preferences, thoughts, and behaviors in a systematic manner. So it's the main characteristic of survey research is the use of a standardized questionnaire. So we can use surveys for descriptive, explanatory, and exploratory purposes. They're mainly used in studies that have individual people as units of analysis. However, they can also be used for other units of analysis, such as organizations. But in those cases, we ask some individual persons to serve as respondents or informants for those organizations or other units. So we define a respondent as a person who provides data for analysis by responding to a survey questionnaire. Okay. The questionnaire is the research instrument which we use for the survey. It consists of a set of questions, which we call items, intended to capture responses from our participants in a standardized manner. So, and our questions may be unstructured or structured. We'll get to those in a little bit. Okay. But first, some factors to consider in questionnaire design. Okay. In terms of the design of questions or items, okay, make sure that if you're using words like, let's say, visit or satisfaction or enjoy, okay, the meanings must be consistent across respondents. So make sure that you're not using words or terms that could have many different meanings, or technical terms that many people would not normally understand. Okay, use simple, clear, and specific language. Use simple sentence structure. Okay, avoid double-barreled questions. We'll get to double-barreled questions later. But for example, if your sentence has a word like and or and different and multiple clauses, then maybe double check, because that could be a double-barreled question. Avoid using emotionally laden words or items or statements which encourage a specific response or bias. And then look at your question, evaluate the questions you are asking. Okay, should these questions be asked at all? Meaning, are those questions relevant to your research problem? Are they necessary? As much as possible, we want to keep our questions in our survey instrument to be those that we really intend to analyze and use. Okay? Make sure that the questions reveal all. Check that the question reveals all we need to know, and they're not double-barreled. A double-barreled question is a question that really asks two different questions. For example, if you ask a tourist, "Did you go sightseeing and swimming?" So how is a respondent supposed to answer that if, for example, they only went swimming and did not go sightseeing? Or what if they only went sightseeing and not swimming? If you ask the tourists, "Did you go sightseeing and swimming?" It's better to ask them two separate questions. Did you go sightseeing? And then, did you go swimming? Okay. So ask precisely what we want to know. Also, don't ask them questions that they're not qualified to answer. Okay, give them enough time to answer, and avoid recall and memory decay. For example, if you ask people about events or to recall events that happened many years ago, most people will not have an easy time giving an answer, or giving an accurate answer, because they may have forgotten many details already. Okay? So as I said earlier, our questions can be unstructured or structured. Okay? Unstructured or open-ended, or structured or closed-ended. The difference is that with structured questions, you give the respondents a list of answers to choose from, a list of possible answers to choose from. An unstructured question is one where you do not give them any choices to select, and they can answer in any way that they wish. Okay, so here are some examples of how you format your question. A dichotomous response question is a question that has only two possible answers. So, for example, a yes or no question, male or female, are you employed or not employed? Okay, just two answers. Okay, two possible answers. Okay. A nominal response, a nominal response question is respondents are presented with more than two unordered options, but the responses are will give you nominal data, meaning these are variables that have no numerical value. For example, what is your industry of employment? And your choices are manufacturing, consumer services, retail, education, healthcare, tourism and hospitality, etc. So that's a nominal response question. And then we have ordinal response and interval response. So nominal response, ordinal response, interval level response. These are all what we would call multiple choice questions. You give them more than two possible choices. Okay. The differences between nominal, ordinal, and interval level response formats for multiple choice is the kind of data that you expect to get from those questions. In an ordinal response, you will be able to get data that reflects a certain hierarchy or arrangement from lowest to highest. For example, if you ask, what is your highest level of education? You can arrange high school, college degree, and graduate studies from lowest to highest or highest to lowest. Okay. In an interval level response, for example, examples are 5 or 7 point Likert scale, semantic differential scales, or Gutmann scales, where the response says there is an implied uniformity to the distance between the different answers. Okay. And then there is a continuous response item where you're hoping to get a ratio level response, meaning the value will have a meaningful 0 point, like how many years have you been in this company. Okay. And for that kind of question, it's usually intended to be open, fill in the blank types of questions. Okay, we will review nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio level data in another lecture. Okay. So that's a very quick overview of surveys and questionnaire formats and question formats particularly. So if you want to learn more, here I've given you some useful online resources on survey research and developing your surveys, particularly online surveys. Thank you.